Look, I think that we have to get back. This is something I was talking about yesterday, you guys, that you didn't get any immunity if you built cars here. And one of the reasons is because the president is convinced that we become nothing but an assembly plant for expensive overseas cars. So 60 million cars sold here. 8 million.
16 million. Right, 16.
Yeah. 8 million are from overseas. Okay. But the actual cars that are made here, only a small percentage of the expensive stuff, the high value added engines, are made here. Those are imported. So what you end up is that you could say only 25% of these cars is actually American. And that is a big, big issue. And I think it's, I think it's very
By American, you mean 100% American. Components and assembly.
Exactly. It's just that it doesn't happen here. So when he says that the plants are somewhat empty, I mean, what he's talking about is that all they do is assemble things here. So the German engines are made in Germany. The Japanese engines are made in Japan. And we get them here. And it just turns out that you can't rely on the figures that you thought. Because if we really just an assembly plant for the expensive parts, well, then we don't really have good business.
I mean, we're already talking about almost 8 million cars that are actually brought over here from other places. So all of those are going to have a 25% tariff.
Yes, absolutely.
The BMW that's made in Germany, the Audi that's made in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, this is my point.
The Mercedes that's made in Germany, it's 25% more.
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure.
David, I thought you were going to come back and say, look, the one that's really, really going to be hurt is General Motors.
And it is, and that's why the stock has been getting hit. But that's because of Mexico and where they have a lot of their production, correct?
Right, and they have far more than Ford. Ford should not be hit nearly as badly, but obviously people are selling all these.
Yeah, Ford generally considered to be about 80% domestic.
Right.
GM is more like 60 to 70, as opposed to Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, 100%.
Well, I mean, I know that we have to, talk about Elon Musk and how, quote, badly he's hurt. But I think this is really just basically says, okay, listen, you don't get a free ride if you're from Japan, if you're from Germany, if you're from South Korea, just because you build plants here. Because we're tired of you making these kind of faux plants, so to speak, where the easiest stuff is done here, and we don't really require a lot of people. Now, I think what's very interesting is that this is a classic left-wing issue, in that this is the hard left UAW calling for this, and I think it's kind of intriguing that the president is agreeing with the hard left UAW.
Oh, yeah. UAW's come out with statements of support. Yeah. Of course, they're arguing for high-paying jobs, which is going to make the end product a little more expensive, is it not?
Exactly. Yes, it will, but you know how I feel about tariffs, David. I'm classically pro-union.
I don't know what that means.
No, I'm saying this is a very pro-union strategy.
Right. So you are pro-tariffs, or you're not?
I am pro-tariff, absolutely.
You are pro-tariff.
I hate free trade. I think it's been an embarrassment for our country. It's cost us fortunes. Everybody picks on us. There's just no end to it. And now it's my views don't really matter.
Can we write that down though? I hate free trade.
I hate free trade.
Really, you hate it?
New there. I've hated free trade forever.
You have?
Yeah, oh God,
I mean, you've been a beneficiary though of globalization and asset flows around the world.
On air, I have said, look, I am a big winner from
Anybody in the service business has certainly been a beneficiary to a certain extent of free trade.
You want to own the service companies because they're not going to be tariffed.
Which is our economy, basically.
I've been saying, I know that you don't get that much chance to watch Mad Money, but I come out against free trade every single night. I think it's just an abomination, and these countries we've been a dumping ground for these countries, and it's time. But again, that's my editorial at the end of Mad Money.
Well, you sound a lot like the president, because he would say, I mean, in fact, uses the same language.
Maybe he sounds a lot like me.
You're also pro-consumer, and you have long argued for people who maybe don't have as much to be able to afford things. There's an item last night that foreign-made assembled cars are going to be essentially a luxury item in this country.
They are. I know, and this is the problem: is that we favor cheap stuff in this country, but at a certain point we also wrecked our small towns.
Yes, we did,
and that's what I'm focused on: the destruction of the small.
I do find, again, we are entering a new era in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here. It's pretty complex in some ways.
It's really complex.
The outcome is uncertain. And I do find, watching Phil LaBelle yesterday do his great reporting from that Hyundai plant, I was struck by the robots, of course, as so many others were. And you do wonder over time, especially if you're trying to get costs down to become more competitive globally, not just to service a domestic consumption, are we really going to end up with the jobs? Or are we just going to end up with a lot of robots?
Well, and look, you're going to have to put a lot of robots in everywhere because people cost too much.
Right. But isn't the end game here is to have higher paying jobs that give people a good wage and dignity and a lot of things that you're talking about.
You just mentioned our small towns. That's what that's all about.
But I think if you made the expensive stuff here, if you were to make the engines here,
I know, but what if the engines ultimately are made?
The assembly is just robot.
Okay.